Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for the final issue of Kill Your Darlings. That is issue number 8. Let's get into the creative team before we talk more about this book. This book is written by Ethan Parker and Griffin Sheridan with art by Robert Quinn, letters and design by John J. Hill. This is from Image Comics and KLC Press. Um, if you guys have been following along on the channel, I've talked to this creative team a couple of times at the beginning before the book launch, and then once more when the second arc was starting. And I am just very excited that this is going to be finally out into the world. I read this a few days ago from shooting this review, and I'm still just thinking about the ending of the series, about everything that we were delivered on this final issue, which is giant size. So let me give you the quick synopsis here. The gruesome saga of Rose and the Girl Who Wouldn't Burn comes to a thrilling conclusion in this epic double-length finale of Kill Your Darlings. This book, just from beginning to end, it delivered on all fronts, right? It had a very interesting story. The characters in here, Rose, I really like. You could really get behind rooting for these characters, very easy to like. Bob Quinn with the character designs, just doing some really fun stuff, doing some really creepy stuff as well. So it's really cool that an artist can bring out all those things up into one. And also that that the writers, like, they figured out how to kind of find the sweet spot between fantasy and horror and the freaky mystery, and then giving us little pieces that once you put everything back together and look back on this book, everything connects in such a really cool way. Yeah, this is just a fantastic finale for one of my favorite ongoing series. I'm gonna miss reading this book. I'm sure the collection will be out soon, according to the back of the book. So make sure, if you haven't read this, if you haven't picked up the single issues, you can do so by picking up the collection later on this year. But yeah, KLC continues to deliver. I've really enjoyed all their stories so far, so I can't wait to see what else they come out with. Whether it's this, the Schlub, or even Vanish, which was their first book. Yeah, really cool stuff coming out of KLC. I hope to see more from Ethan and Griffin, and of course Bob. Like, Bob Quinn, he just has such great flexibility and such a great range with his artwork, right? Whether it's superhero comics, whether it's horror stuff, whether it's fantasy, like, he can just really deliver. His colors are great. Color was such an important part of this story, that Bob doing his own colors just really added to not only the amount of effort, but the cohesiveness of everything, how it came together. So I'm only going to show a few preview pages from the front because I don't want to spoil anything. But this is just so you kind of get in the mood here a little bit, and you can kind of see what's going on. If you haven't yet read this story or started this book for any reason, this is your call to action to do so. I love it. I love the dialogue. John J. Hill delivering the letters, just everything. Like I said, everyone in this book just put a lot of really, really cool hard work into this. We also have, as always, in the back, a variant cover by Ryan Stegman. So I can't wait for people to pick this up. I can't wait for this book to be out in the wild. It is such a great emotional ride all the way until that last page. And just when you think that things are done, the creators give you just a little bit more. So yeah, I think this book is going to be very rereadable, just because of the way that it was presented. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of little things, little details that you can kind of go back on and check out, and then see them in a different context after finishing the book. And that's very smart, not only, like, for selling purposes of the book, because you you definitely want to sell more, but also just as far as delivering a great story to the readers. So Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Hack Slash Back to School number 4. This is a new book and the finale from this series by Image Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team here. We have story and art by Zoe Thurgood with color assist by Sarah Mitrash. I never learned how to say that name. I apologize. Of course, Hack Slash created by Tim Silly and Stefano Caselli. We have the main cover by Zoe Thurgood. Uh, Boy, oh boy, what can I say about this book other than it is such an epic finale? Let me read the synopsis and then we'll get into this. The end of the beginning, Cassie and Vlad's first case draws to a brutal end as the school for slasher killers faces a slasher killer, and Cassie faces the question, who's too broken to fix? Now, does that make sense out of context? I don't think so. But once you read this book, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, makes perfect sense. What a really fun book that is also one of the most fucked up things I've ever read. Not being a fan or even I knew about Hack Slash prior, but I've never read it. I've never really dove into it. And it's such a fresh perspective, such a really welcoming book too for anybody that's never read any Hack Slash. It's got really fun characters, really engaging mythology that you can just kind of really go with. But it also has some gruesome situations, some really gnarly violence and kills, some of the most deranged characters you could ever see. The things that they have to face on a every issue are just super fucked up. So like this is a whole mixed bag, but I think from what I've seen now and I've researched, it really distills the essence of what Hack Slash is really about. And just when you think that you know how the story is going to end, this book turns not just the story, but your life upside down. And then not only everyone is an emotional mess by the end. So let's take a look at some of the preview art because not only is Zoe Thorgood a fantastic writer, but also just a great artist. Uh, we kind of catch up. I love that these pages, the first few pages are sans dialogue. I think it just really makes sense for the story. It makes sense for the book, and it's just some of the creepiest shit you could ever see. Right, the mother spirit, the children, the dead children. Oh my god, yeah, just so many weird things, just so fucked up all over. And then we get to see our favorite characters as they kind of process everything that's going on. We get to see a little bit of how they're dealing with the stress of everything that they just had to face. And this is just the beginning of the story. This isn't even the end. So very cool stuff. I would really love to hear from people that are new to the Hack Slash, um, the Hack Slash property. What you thought of this series? I really enjoyed it. I think it's just a lot of fun, and it really feels like something that comic books were just truly made for. But also, if you're a longtime fan of Hack Slash, let me know how you think this fits into the larger world. Um, and let me know what you think of just like the final few pages of this book. So, hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, be doing a review for a long overdue book, Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, number 5. This is the book that I've been covering every issue, and I was a little behind on this one. I had not had a chance to read it, but I'm finally here. So let's take a look at the creative team here. Of course, this is written and illustrated by Patrick Horvath, with letters by Hassan Otsmane Elhau from IDW Comics. As always, the first page not only does it present things to you as a newspaper and gives you a little bit of the story and gets you caught up on the previous issues, but it's also just looks really cool. Like it really introduces you to this like little community that they built here. So after the events of the last issue, and as always, the synopsis is a poem, so I'm going to read that. Sam's foe was quick and mighty clever. Now Sam must skip town, maybe forever. The town doesn't trust her. They think she's the one. So Sam's on her own, and alone she must run. But maybe, just maybe, she'll learn in the wild and return to that town to face the devil child. Once you read the book, actually, all that makes very good, like perfect sense. I'm actually very impressed that the synopsis are presented in such a really fun way. Patrick Horvat continues to just not only deliver this amazing mystery, right? Like I think I've said before, if you like Dexter, the TV show, or the books, or the comics, this has a lot of that. That serial killer that trying to skulk around, that is very meticulous, and that is Sam. But then also like all the trials and tribulations that come along with being that person, and what happens when another killer and kind of comes into play. So in the last issue we saw that not only was there a big reveal as to who this other person was, but what their plans are for Sam and what they've done to kind of turn our life upside down. So really really fun stuff. This issue, uh it's a lot quieter, if that makes sense. But it's only because it's the calm before the storm that I think is going to happen in the finale next issue. So let's talk about the art. Horvath continues to deliver just some really masterful writing and also masterful uh, designs in art and illustrations. I love the presentation of the rain and just the car driving over the puddle to kind of set the mood. Sam is definitely like, life's rough right now, right? She's on the run. She has nowhere to turn, so she goes to the big city to kind of get lost in the crowd. And I love that you can kind of you see all the places that Sam has to go to try to get lost in the city, right? Whether she's walking on the street or at the diner, just places where she can hide, and also try to stay away. But the introduction of these ghosts, as she calls them, of the people that she's killed, and the fact that they all have this piece missing, and you can kind of see their brains. It's super wild. And then, of course, we have the police after Sam looking for her. So, yeah, I love these two panels of Sam kind of getting lost in the crowd, and even commenting on how the weather is making her this be that much easier. So, yeah, it's really really cool. I really love this book so much. I can't wait till this is collected because I think a lot of people are going to be able to pick it up, and it's going to be quite a hit. I know that buying monthly comics and reading monthly, it's kind of a challenge sometimes. uh, and I don't know, I think I like the monthly for this book because it gives me a chance to kind of think about it for a few weeks before the next issue comes out, as opposed to kind of just reading everything at once. Some comics and some stories definitely play out better with the weekly pacing. To me, this feels like one of those things that, or monthly pacing, that this feels to me that there's one of the things that really worked that way. Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Blow Away #1. This is a new book from Boom Studios. Let's talk about the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Zach Thompson with art by Nicola Izo, Francisco Segala on colors, with color assist by Gloria Martinelli, and letters by DC Hopkins of World Design, and a great cover by Annie Wu. We also have some variant covers at the end by Tula Lote, Tyler Boss. So yeah, we got you covered here for this book. So in this book, unyielding wildlife photographer Bryn Brodigan, isolated in a remote called of Baffin Island, sees something she can't unsee. An argument followed by an outburst of intense violence between two nearby climbers. This she just witnessed murder. In a frantic search for the truth, Bryn discovers that just what she's looking for. But little does she know that more than the silent white of winter is keeping her company. From hit writers Zach Thompson, who's worked on things like Hunt for the Skinwalker and Cemetery Kids Don't Die, and star artist Nicola Izzo, from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. They team up in this neo-noir crime thriller rife with murder and paranoia in a tradition of Fargo and Rear Window. And those were the two things that I immediately thought of as I was reading this book. Because for Rear Window, you definitely have the voyeuristic approach to this, right? Bryn is a photographer, so she has cameras pointed at this mountain where everything's going on. She's isolated, she's alone, she's all that she's processing. If you've seen Rear Window, all that she's processing is the information that comes through from her camera, right? And also Fargo with the crime aspect of it, the thrilling part of it, the fact that there's always a little bit more. That Fargo is a story that loves to unravel a mystery, like whether you've seen the TV show or you've seen the original film, and of course the cold weather. It's they're in Canada, so like probably close to a Minnesota accent. So yeah, this is very interesting. Now, all that being said, I think the pacing of the story for me feels like something that I actually wanna. The mystery is so intense and the pacing is so definitive that I actually feel like this would read better to me as a whole, like just reading everything at once. Because just like Bryn, like I don't want to wait to figure out what the next reveal or what's going on, or to go back and look at my camera, right? Like to see what's going on now. But that being said, the art is fantastic. I think uh, Nicola manages to really present a very interesting approach to what could be kind of a boring setting, right? With just snow and the cold weather and the white. But I think not only the character designs, but just the approach to the storytelling really makes that very interesting. So let's take a look at some of the preview art here. So you'll see what I'm saying, right? The paneling really helps with the pacing as the storm kind of clears up, and you can kind of see the passage of time. You get to see the not only the view from the camera, but also a view at the camera, and just all that process. I think that's really cool. We also have like this kind of like timeline that keeps reminding us how long a brain has been isolated from the world. So that's really cool. Like we get to see like as the days kind of go by. So and then just checking out this here, I love the view from the film as she's kind of studying the video. uh yeah, just really works. And as the mystery presents itself, that really just helps to build the tension. So am I going to keep reading this? Yes, because Boom has been delivering on all fronts with a lot of their stuff. I'm going to try to pick up the Tula Lote cover because one of my favorite cover artists. uh but I think I will definitely revisit this once either the I don't know if this is a mini series or an ongoing series, but either way, I'll revisit this more of a collection. But for fans of mystery and some of those things that I mentioned, like Fargo, Rear Window, or even just like really cool winter art, or maybe you're a camera aficionado, I don't know. I think there's a lot of people that will really find this book fascinating. So hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Cobra Commander. This is issue number 4. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Joshua Williamson with art by Andrea Milano, Annalisa Leone on colors, letters by Rose Wooten, and we'll see some additional variant covers at the end of the video. In this issue, the Energon universe is in danger. Cobra Commander has found a new ally willing, or not that, may we just. What? In this issue, the Energon universe is in danger. Cobra Commander has found a new ally, willing or not, that may just make him unstoppable. Unless, of course, someone is one step ahead of him. This is after the reveal of last episode, and now you've seen it in the cover. So, spoilers for the previous issue. Nemesis was the one person that was being the bodyguard for Cobra Commander. We are very close now that he's finally taking care of every obstacle on his path so far, and Cobra Commander is very close to fulfilling his mission. But what is that mission other than collecting the Energon? Now, this is a very intricate book because there's a lot of things at play here, right? We have the motivations from cover commander, but there's this book is full of surprises, full of twists and turns, and if you've seen the main cover, you can probably kind of put together some of those pieces. Joshua Williamson continues to just really do a fun job at uh, writing Cobra Commander, like one of the most unhinged characters in comic books. Very good stuff. Like he's just always thinking, always maneuvering. So definitely makes him a worthy adversary for whatever is to come in the future of the Energon universe, and definitely makes him very dangerous, especially when he finds someone that he actually thinks he can use for his own nefarious purposes. Now, Milana and Annalisa Leone continue to just do a bang up job with the art. So let's pull up some of the preview art we have here. These are the first few pages, and I just really like the pacing and some of these angles. Like they really make Cobra Commander seem very menacing, physically very imposing, even though he's not, right. Uh, Physical brute strength is not his forte, but just his mannerisms, the way that he kind of moves around, and the way that he acts, it's very cool. Also, I really love the panel here in the middle page at the bottom of this scientist thinks that he's finally found his salvation after being stuck, um after these guys just kind of like put him in the hole and made him work for themselves. So yeah, very very cool. Like I mentioned, twists and turns, and here we see some of the most amazing stuff that I love about this book is just how violent it can get sometimes, like just very gnarly stuff. We see Nemesis just kind of kicking ass. I don't know about a lot about the character, but just based on his character design, he looks very very cool. I definitely want to know more about this character, more about what he brings to the table. I think Russ Wooten choosing to change the lettering from the previous issue to Nemesis to reflect what is his true voice. It's a great choice. So yeah, overall, once again, another really fun issue of Cobra Commander. I thought this was series. I thought this series was about to end, but not only is it going to introduce us to a whole new thing, that if you read the first, if you look at the last page or so, you'll see. But we also know that there's going to be an issue 5. So I wonder if this is going to be an ongoing, or if these are going to be like 6 issue series. I don't really know what the plan is. I haven't really looked at the previous magazines, but I'll definitely have to check that out. But hello, everyone. Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Helen of Windhorn #2. This is a new book from Dark Horse Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Tom King with art by Bilquis Evely, colors by Mateus Lopez, and letters by Clayton Cowell. We have a cover by Bilquis Evely and Mateus Lopez, and also we have a few other covers at the end of the video, one of them by Greg Smallwood, and a variant of this initial cover that we're seeing here. So let's talk about issue #2. In this issue, the Eisner Award winning and best-selling creative team of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow um, comes this gothic sword and sorcery epic that is Conan the Barbarian meets the Wizard of Oz. As the secret of their history begins to unravel, Helen explores the grounds of Windhorn, housed and its many inhabitants, both real and fantastical, on a quest to understand her true family heritage and what role she plays in this. Yeah, this was a very interesting issue because it's full of really high tension, right? We have on one hand the story of this writer who is interviewing the governess that we met in the first issue, and she's recounting the tales of Helen of Windhorn and what it was like living with her and her grandparent or grandfather at this house. And at the end of the first issue, we see that there was some gigantic monster that her grandfather had to take out. Like that was a big shock. But then we get back into this issue and things are kind of happening, like it almost feels like nothing really happened, which is very weird. Like it just feels very out of place. um all this presented to us by Bill Evely's beautiful art, just so many lines, so many details, really really cool, and just great colors that pop right off the page when they need to, but also make it feel a little bit somber and bleak and maybe even a little claustrophobic in this house, especially when it comes to the panel arrays. We see that some of the panels have white background, whereas some of these memories have the black background. So that makes it feel almost as if the picture is trapped. I don't know. That's kind of the feeling that I got from it. And of course, kicking off with these amazing covers for the books. These are really cool. Like these just really work out very, like, this is the Conan aspect of it, I think. And then we get to meet more of the family dynamics. We get to see how grandpa isn't taking shit from anyone. He's just yeah, it's a really very interesting complex relationship. um so we get to see that obviously Helen is not happy with the situation, but there's really not a lot that she can do. So yeah, I love this style. I love the way we flash back, and of course the adventure finally will kick off in this issue. We get some really nice stuff towards the end of the issue where maybe we'll find out more a little bit about the adventures that Helen's grandfather goes on. So really fun stuff. Really enjoying this series. Feels really fun. Sometimes whenever I read a Tom King book, I have to make a decision whether I read it monthly or wait till the collection, and it really varies depending on the story. This one so far to me is a monthly read. So if you have read this, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments as always. Thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.